Fighting has been reported in regions across Gaza today. Israeli forces are operating in the southern city of Khan Yunis, where dozens of people have reportedly been killed. The Israeli military and Hamas fighters are battling in several places, including in Jabalia in the north and other areas around the Gaza Strip. Gaza's health ministry says 178 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours, marking one of the deadliest days of the war so far. Joining me now to discuss the most recent developments is Dani Belos, International Relations Professor at Webster and Carleton University. Hi there. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hello, Marcia.
Despite opposition from allies like the United States, as well as the United Nations, Benjamin Netanyahu is doubling down on his rejection of a two-state solution. Why is he against what so many see as the only way for some peace in the region?
Well, based on what we've heard so far coming from Netanyahu himself, as well as some of his political allies, there seems to be a lack of trust that any sort of statehood given to the Palestinians right now would provide guarantees in terms of security for Israel. So currently, it seems that Netanyahu is operating exactly under that mindset that Israel has to be able to provide its own security, as Netanyahu said, west of Jordan. And only once that's guaranteed, Netanyahu can move forward potentially with any alternative way forward towards autonomy.
What are alternative options if Palestinians are not able to self-govern? What happens?
Well, in terms of self-government, that's a core principle in terms of international law and so on. But clearly what we're seeing is the Israeli operation targeting terrorist hubs. And only once these terrorist hubs are eliminated, Israel would be able to move forward in terms of any sort of civilianized agreement with any Palestinian authorities. But clearly Hamas, in terms of what Israel wants, Hamas should not be part of that equation.
We can't forget the hostages, and there were reports earlier this morning of Hamas putting forward a deal, an idea that if the fighting stopped, they would release the hostages. What do you see as the fate of those people who are still being held by Hamas in Gaza?
In terms of the hostages, this is a very tough situation for the families, and we've seen the families and many people in Israel protesting and wanting to recover the hostages. The very likely scenario is that any sort of hostage agreement moving forward will have to be mediated by an external party, as we've seen it done in the previous iteration. So what we should be hopeful towards is some sort of mediated agreement between Hamas, who's responsible for these hostages currently and their well-being, and Israel that wants to recover them. So we're likely to see, if the hostages return home, it's likely going to be through an external party that will facilitate that.
Dani Belos, thank you so much for your time with us today.